Imagine yourself on a path surrounded by everything you own. As you look back, you see the footprints marking your journey thus far. This path is your life, and each step reflects a choice, a moment, a memory. Now imagine that to move forward, you must cross a narrow bridge where only the essentials can be carried. This is your first test, detachment. Lewis, in his magical Tales of Narnia, teaches us a powerful lesson about crossing portals to unknown worlds, leaving behind what no longer serves. He shows us that often, the greatest adventures and most precious treasures lie beyond the material, in experiences that touch our souls and draw us closer to God. Are you ready to evaluate what truly holds value in your life? Detachment does not mean abandoning love for people or the beautiful things God has given us. Rather, it is understanding that our hearts should not be imprisoned by them. We should not let our happiness depend on something we can lose. The true treasure, the one that never fades or diminishes, lies in the depths of our being, in our connection with the Creator, and in the love we share with others. So, I ask you, what are you carrying that hinders your progress? Is it the weight of material possessions, excessive worry about tomorrow, or perhaps the fear of leaving the known for the unknown? This is the moment to reflect, to look inward, and decide what truly deserves to cross that bridge with you. The journey with God is made of steps of faith, and sometimes the greatest act of faith is letting go, trusting, and walking toward what He has prepared for you, with hands and heart open to receive the true treasure. As you begin to cross this bridge of detachment, the path becomes more challenging. You feel the weight of each item you decide to leave behind. It's as if every object, every material desire, is tied to a rope pulling you back. But it is here, in the midst of the crossing, that the true process of transformation occurs. In his work, Mere Christianity, Lewis reminds us of the battle between ego and humility. To draw near to God, we need to release these ropes that bind us to pride, vanity, and selfishness. Detachment is this process of letting go, of freeing ourselves from the shackles of self to embrace the us, to live in communion with God and with others. Have you ever wondered why detachment is so difficult? Perhaps because detachment confronts us with our insecurities, with our fear of inadequacy. But Lewis teaches us that when we forget ourselves, we truly become free to serve God and others. It is when you forget yourself that you do things that will be remembered. This moment of your journey is crucial. It is the turning point where you choose to continue pulling these ropes, staying in the same place, or letting them go one by one, trusting that what God has for you is far greater than anything you could leave behind. When you reach the end of the bridge of detachment, you look back and see how far you have come. Those things that seemed indispensable now seem distant, small. You feel a lightness, a peace that only comes when we let go of the temporary and focus on the eternal. Your reflections in The Screwtape Letters show us how greed and the desire for power can lead us astray from the path that leads to true happiness and contentment. Have you experienced the freedom that comes with living simply, cherishing blessings that are not of this world? Seek treasures that do not wear out with time, treasures that we find in our faith, in our family, in friends, and above all in our relationship with God. Do not aspire to be of value, but rather of inestimable value. On the path of faith, after learning about detachment, we are introduced to the next test, patience. This test begins the moment we recognize the difference between God's time and our own. Patience is not just about waiting, it's about knowing how to wait with faith and hope. In The Abolition of Man, we are challenged to think about character formation and the virtues that sustain a full and meaningful life. Patience is one of these virtues, a pillar that supports not only our faith, but also our ability to navigate life's ups and downs with grace and resilience. Have you ever found yourself praying for something, longing for an answer that seems never to come? In those moments, patience is tested. But it is also in those moments that we are invited to trust deeply in God, reminding ourselves that He sees the full picture of our lives, while we see only a part. Patience is not simply the ability to wait, but how we behave while waiting. How do you behave while waiting? Do you despair, doubt, or maintain faith, knowing that each moment of waiting is an opportunity to grow closer to God and strengthen your character? We choose to believe that God is in control, that His timing is perfect, and that He is working in our favor, even when we cannot see. This is the moment to look within and ask yourself, what is waiting teaching me? Am I becoming bitter or better? Am I closer to God or farther away? Patience is a journey of thousands of steps of faith, a walk where we learn that the greatest miracle often isn't what we're waiting for in the end, but who we become along the way. As you progress on the journey of patience, you find yourself halfway, where the true test of your endurance and faith is put to the test. This is the moment when waiting is not just an interval between desire and fulfillment, but a workshop where your character is forged. Lewis, in his own quest for truth, shows us in Surprised by Joy how patience is cultivated not in tranquility, but in life's storms, doubts, challenges, sufferings. It is in these moments that patience finds its most fertile ground. Difficulties toughen the muscle of faith, he tells us, reminding us that it is through facing adversity that we grow. Have you ever questioned why you're waiting? Have you felt like each day of waiting was an eternity, each obstacle an insurmountable mountain? Patience calls us to live in the present moment fully, trusting that each step, each delay, each challenge has a purpose in God's greater plan for our lives. It teaches us to surrender our control, to release our anxieties, and to trust in the One who sees the end from the beginning. It is vital to remember that patience is not passivity. On the contrary, it is a courageous act of faith, a demonstration of trust in God, even when the path ahead seems uncertain. It is the ability to say, even though I do not understand, I will trust, allowing that trust to transform your heart and renew your hope. In his reflections, Lewis reminds us that patience is more than simply enduring. It is an active demonstration of faith and love. In The Four Loves, he explores how true patience is intertwined with compassion and care for others, reflecting the infinite patience that God has with us. Through patience, we gain more than through force, he writes, suggesting that it is in gentleness and steadfastness that our character is most deeply shaped. Now, at the threshold of this test of patience, look back and see how each moment of waiting, each challenge, has contributed to your story of faith. You are more prepared, more resilient, and more aligned with the purpose God has for your life. Patience has taught you to value the present moment, to find joy in the small things, and to maintain faith even when the path ahead is uncertain. Remember that patience is not the end, but a means by which we grow in grace, understanding, and love. And so, equipped with this virtue, you are more prepared to face the next challenges on your journey, knowing that true strength lies in the ability to wait with faith, love, and hope in God's time. At the beginning of the journey of faith, you find yourself standing on the edge of a vast ocean, gazing into the unknown horizon. Faith, that step towards the unseen, the untouched, yet deeply felt, is your next challenge. Lewis, in Mere Christianity, speaks of faith as the art of holding firmly to what your reason has accepted, even when your emotions pull you in opposite directions. This is the starting point, a conscious choice to trust, even when the waves of doubt try to pull you down. Have you ever felt the call to believe in something greater than yourself, even when the world around you suggests otherwise? Faith begins with this call, a whisper that becomes a clamor within your heart, urging you to look beyond what is visible and find true meaning and purpose in God. Lewis challenges us to think of faith not as an escape from reality, but as a deeper understanding of it. Faith is the art of holding on to what your reason has accepted, despite your changing moods. This means that faith starts with a decision to trust in God and the truths He has revealed, even when our immediate experience seems to question those truths. This is the first step in the test of faith, recognizing that faith goes beyond the intellectual. It is a matter of the heart and will. Are you willing to take this step, knowing that you won't have all the answers, but trusting that God will guide you through the uncertainties? This first step is crucial because it lays the foundation for the journey ahead. It is the decision to say yes to God, to open your heart to the adventure He has for you, an adventure that will shape you, challenge you, and ultimately bring you closer to Him. So, as you gaze out into this ocean of faith before you, remember that every great journey begins with a simple step of faith. And it is this step that opens the door to a deeper and more meaningful relationship with the Creator of the universe. Are you ready to take that step? Finding yourself now in the midst of this spiritual challenge, you realize that the path is not linear. Facing doubts, questions, and even moments of darkness is part of this journey. But it is precisely here, in this uncertain terrain, that your faith has the opportunity to deepen and truly strengthen. Lewis, in The Problem of Pain, addresses one of the most significant challenges to faith, the question of why God allows suffering. He suggests that through suffering, we are invited to look beyond the immediate, to seek a greater meaning, and to turn to God even when answers seem distant. God whispers to us in our pleasures, speaks in our conscience, but shouts in our pains, Lewis wrote, highlighting how moments of difficulty can be powerful catalysts for spiritual growth. At this point in your journey, you may feel tempted to question your faith, to wonder where God is amidst the trials. However, it is precisely at this point that your faith is called to evolve from a superficial belief to a deep and unwavering trust in God. Faith doesn't mean you'll have all the answers, but that you trust in the One who does, even in the midst of storms. View this moment as an invitation to dialogue with God, to bring Him your doubts, fears, and uncertainties. True faith is not the absence of questioning, but the presence of trust despite the questions. As Lewis teaches us, it's possible to cry out to God, to doubt His presence, and still trust in Him. So as you navigate through this middle of the test of faith, remember that every questioning, every doubt, is an opportunity to grow. Allow yourself to be shaped by these experiences, opening your heart to understand that true faith is refined in the fire of trials. And know that even in the darkest moments, God is working in your life, weaving a story of redemption that will only be fully understood in time.